good to have you back on the program. So Warren Buffett, the Oracle of Omaha, saying he's going to buy on these dips. So what about you?
Well, first, I'm waiting for a dip, Susan. We've felt most of the rise in the market this year was justified. But, in the last, 6 weeks or so, the news has been decidedly more mixed and, if anything, a little on the disappointing side. So I've been waiting for a pullback of between 5 to 10% in the market. And maybe at that time I would consider adding. But right now I don't want to add to existing positions.
Really? Okay, but I thought we already saw a correction last week. In fact, last week's declines in the U.S. were the worst in 2012.
Yeah, well, I would say actually in last year, from the high to low, we almost sold off by about 20% at one point. I'm not expecting that. But what's happened, Susan, is you get pullbacks, and then you're trying to decide what to do, and then the market has generally snapped back before that. Yeah. So what I just feel that we're vulnerable as you get into the election campaign season. I think there's going to be uncertainty on the tax front in the United States, and that's probably my biggest worry down the road.
Okay, but we still have Warren Buffett himself buying into American lenders, saying they are in fine shape in his view. What do you think of this sector?
It's a sector that we've had an overweight on for quite some time because, like Warren Buffett, we're long-term value-based investors. So last year was actually a painful sector to be in, as you know, but this year we got off to a good start with nice rebounds in the financials. Basically, I would say, Susan, we went from being very cheap in the sector to more reasonably valued. So once again, that's an area where we had an overweight, and right now we're just hanging on to positions, not adding to it at this time.
Yeah, okay, so Nick, what is the market telling you? Because we had a big sell-off here in the Asia-Pacific on Monday, coming off of losses from Europe and U.S. on Friday. And given the election results in the European side, what does the market snapback tells you right now?
I think, basically two things. First of all, my working presumption all along was that Sarkozy was going to lose, Hollande would win. Okay. So then there's two issues. Is that going to alter the Eurozone in any fundamental way? And no, Hollande is actually very pro the Eurozone, and that's why Merkel says, I'll embrace you. At the same time, he does have an economy in mild recession, and so he'd like to figure out a way to boost it. But I don't believe that the market thinks he can really alter this fiscal pact to any significant extent. As Merkel pointed out, it got ratified by everybody, too late to change it right now.
All right, well, what about the euro? I mean, take a look at the snapback in the common currency, really confounding the bears who were predicting a meltdown, right, given the election results and the sentiment that followed afterwards.
Yes, and that's correct. And even I think even the bigger surprise, as you had alluded to, was that actually in Greece, where the two largest parties are more or less, were the losers in that election, and yet the euro has held stable. It's interesting, Susan. Last year, on occasions, we shorted the euro, and but basically took profits. When near the lows. I was pretty happy with how we traded that. This year, we just said there's too many moving parts, so I don't see a clear trend, and therefore I've just been moving to the sideline. But I do agree with you that it is surprising that in light of everything going on, it's held as steady as it has. I think we're going to see a downside test at some point.
Yeah, that's what the bears are calling for. So, Nick, what are you doing in these times? Because given the volatility out there, and you've capped some of the gains, or you've seen a lot of big gains in Q1, what do you do in the markets now? Yeah.
Really, Susan, I think right now it's more we're in a holding pattern. We like our portfolio. We feel that right now risk on has done well for 7 months, as I indicated, and there we like deep value names. But with the rally, we don't think they're as cheap as they have been. Obviously, we have dividend paying names, and those are bigger, safer names, and that's been a nice counterbalance. So there, though, you know, as I was suggesting, when you look to the election, the big issue is going to be whether the Bush tax cuts get extended or not. If they do not, there would be a significant rise in the tax rate. And so right now, though, we're looking at possible hedging strategies, but we haven't yet made a major asset allocation shift at this time.
Okay, Nick, great to have you on this morning. Have a great trading week.